Power of Connection. I am Christina Matheson, thrilled today to bring you Flory Hiatrides. She is just a wonderful woman that I've been connected to. We've become friends, and she's one of my proudest relationships. I'm really thrilled to know her. So Flory, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Very exciting. And thank you for that beautiful welcome.
You are welcome. We were connected by our mutual friend, Colleen. So Colleen has been your friend for a million billion years, right?
Yes.
And Colleen and I met, I want to say, a little over 4 years ago. And one of the thrills of getting older as a woman, I find, is that we immediately know who's in our tribe. And Colleen and I were immediately connected, and we have the most incredible relationship. We go for dinner when we have time, and it's usually 3 or 4 hours. So we don't talk in between, and we catch up on everything. And she's one of my truest, bestest tribe girls. But let's talk about you, Flory. I want to read your just brief bio. Flory has a bio that's longer than my arm. She's done amazing things in her career and in her life. So I'm going to read you just a short bit of it. So Flory is the Chief Manifestation Officer, or CMO. She's a mentor, manifester, mathematician, mom, entrepreneur, health coach, educator, ENFJ, and we're going to get into that. Her personal motto is, "You bring who you are to everything that you do." Flory brings 40 years of experience in professional facilitation and curriculum development, as well as 20 years of manifestation work and mentoring as a foundation for creating awakened events. I love that. This multidisciplinary approach to maximize success and happiness combines ancient wisdom, modern science, and proven business to change lives. Flory, how cool is that? So, for somebody that has never met you and never heard of any of this, where did you start from? How did all of this begin?
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and I even forget it until someone asks me and I recap it, and then I say, wow, that really sounds pretty amazing. And if I wasn't living it, I'd be very excited by it.
Yes.
I'm excited by it that I lived it. But it all started when I was in college, and I can make the overview very quick. But when I started in college, one of my professors saw something in me and asked me if I run computer camps. Now that's back in 1979. So it was a lot of passion, a lot of hard work, and a little bit of timing, because back then, that's when Apple started and all the technology. Anyway, I started doing computer camps for children, and then it evolved into adult education and technology, which then evolved into management development, consulting. And before I knew it, I had a full-fledged management training, technology, workflow analysis consulting company. And while I was doing all that, Iona College, my alma mater, was paying for all my education. So I completed an MBA, I completed 2 doctorates, and that was all happening while I was building this company.
So you were a little bit busy then, and you're a little bit busy now.
It's funny, I don't say busy anymore. Someone told me about this because, somehow busy has a negative connotation to people. I don't know why, but I'm a big wordsmith. So I talk a lot about connotation and denotation, right? Denotation is what the dictionary says, and connotation is how you feel.
Okay.
We're going to talk about relationships. Relationship is all about how you make someone feel. They'll never remember what you said. They'll only remember what you feel. So for me, connotation is important. Anyway, I digress, but busy somehow feels overwhelmed to people. Okay. So I no longer say busy, I say full. I have very full days.
You know what? I'm never going to say the B word again. I love that.
Doesn't that true, right? When people say busy, it almost implies it's like, I say I'm just, by the way, I never say overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I say I'm the right amount of whelmed.
Okay. I love that too. My grandmother, she was always old. She'd be like 100 and something now. And she used to have the saying, and if you need something done, ask a busy person to do it. Meaning that those of us that are full, that have full days, can handle it because we have methods and systems, and it's what we're used to. When you have somebody that's not so full, adding tasks to their day throws them off a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing that ties into that concept is I used to teach time management for many, many years, and now I don't. I teach energy management. because people always ask me, how do you get so much done? It's because if you can monitor your energy and manage your vibration, 3 hours out of the zone is like 10 minutes in the zone. So when life is flowing, it's all about energy management. And by the way, the other reason I love full is because it is wonderful, peaceful, thoughtful. So when your days are full of those things, then the energy just flows.
It's a beautiful thing. You know, I was only introduced to energy and the power of the universe, I want to say maybe 10 or 12 years ago. It would have completely changed the trajectory of my life had I had a mentor, had I known about this, had this been introduced to me. So I know that the work that you do is so, so powerful. So you're in this big training company and you're training, you know, corporate, you have all these corporate clients and you're helping build their teams and train them up on things. How did you go from that to where you're at now?
April 5th, 2001.
Tell me the story.
So 40 years of living this life, 20 of them as an adult, right? At this time, I was 40 years old. I had built a multi-million-dollar company. I did not have any children. I was what most people would describe now as type A. Not that I'm not ambitious and excited anymore, but again, type A has a negative connotation of overwhelmed and frenetic. But back then I was a little bit of that definition. And my then husband and I wanted to have children, and he convinced me, or we agreed to sell my company that I had built. Now, I had never traditionally worked for anyone else, and I use air quotes because when you own your own businesses, you work for everyone else. But at this point in the story, at 40 years old, I was just about selling my first company, which I had built since I was 18. And I did it so I could have children. So here goes. On April 5th, 2001, I was supposed to be signing my company away. I was pregnant, so I was excited about having a baby, and everyone in my life was pretty healthy. And what happened? My dad got critically ill. I had a miscarriage and sold my company all on the same day. So literally on April 5th, my dad died, I miscarried and sold away the company. Had to get on a plane to Japan because I sold my company to a Japanese firm. Came home, I was 40 years old, came home to such grief and loss, my dad, my child, and my company, that the old, what I describe as algorithmic way of living was not working. So for the past 22 years, my birthday's next year. So from 40 till what I will be 62, for the last 22 years, it has been learning about every modality under the umbrella, which I term mindfulness. Every modality, every seminar, every book that you can figure. But my real niche right now, or my real passion, is bringing business and mindfulness together. That's really the secret sauce. It's not just being mindful so you can be focused and sit alone in your house. It's so you can be focused and clear and take it into the world and be better and enhanced at everything. A better parent, a better coach, a better partner, a better sister, a better everything, whatever better means to you, uplifted, enlightened. So I'm very proud. I've built 3 successful businesses. And I just started my third last May. It's been a year already. And that's the company that's behind me, Awakened Events, because most people are living a life by default, not design. Most people are living life a little sleepy. And
Amen.
I'm
Amen.
about
Amen. Amen.
Wake up to, and you know what it's really waking up to? The power that's inside you all along. My favorite movie was always The Wizard of Oz, and now I know why, right? Dorothy had the power all the time, but she needed outside forces to tell her.
So it's so funny that you say that, because I've recently been through this whole health thing. And when it was over, some people who had been through, a cancer experience would say, like, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. And oh my goodness. And they would just live in that dark place. And for me, it gave me the ability to see how powerful I was, how strong I was. And I live my life differently after that. And I'm grateful for the experience. And I believe that my training in some of the modalities that you're speaking about prior to my diagnosis helped me really get through that better. So that's why I am all over this saying amen, amen, because we just don't think about it. We don't realize the power that we have. And you're bringing this knowledge and ability to people everywhere is so necessary.
You know, before, Christina, you mentioned that if you had this content or this mindset information younger, what I am surprised at, people are like, are you surprised the company's doing so well? I'm like, no, I do this at my home. My home is beautiful. I've been facilitating for 40 years. The content is amazing. What I'm surprised at is the amount of young people that are attracted to this curriculum. Yes, I have seminars at my home, 15 in a class, 16 in a class, and usually half of that are ages 18 to 25. And I am very connected to colleges and universities, but as soon as these young people hear me talking, they're like, yes, this resonates. I don't know where to find this other content. It's not in college. My parents don't speak this language, but this feels good. And I know why the young people resonate so much. Young people don't want to be happy. They demand to be happy. The older generations, especially like my mom's generation and even mine a little bit, and probably yours,
We settled.
It was, yes. And it was okay to just get through the Great Depression or whatever.
Right.
These young people now, post-COVID especially, they can work from home. They can live in Africa. They can work in Florida. They have options and they demand happiness. So they are pursuing these skills. My inevitable dream is a one-year school, the Awakened Events Academy, where we offer a one-year program with all of these modalities, all of the topics you need, your preferences, financial literacy, goal setting, leadership, everything these young people need to be successful and happy. Then happy, successful, happy, peaceful, same thing to me.
So necessary, you know, in my daily life, I work in the real estate community, and I see so many people that I just refer to as running up the down escalator, that they are continually running. Or you see people that go to the same job for 20 years. They travel, they do the schlep on the train, wherever it is that they're going. They don't really like what they do. It's the same thing, but it's comfortable. And I think what I see is, there is so much fear in change that if I give up my job that pays me $40,000 a year, how am I going to get to this? And it's all the mindset. It's all of the belief in knowing that you can, and the power of connecting with other people.
Yeah, listen, you're describing law of attraction, and one of the originators, right, is Jerry and Esther Hicks, ask and it is given. So there's basically 3 steps to getting anything you want. You ask, you get is step number 3. What's step number 2? Get rid of resistance. And what you just described by example was why people have resistance, because they were raised with limiting beliefs that this is how they have to live. And I talk a lot about questions, because people say, how do you get rid of limiting beliefs? You question whether they still serve you. And in the word question is quest. You go on a quest. And by the way, I took 4 years of Latin because I thought I was going to be a doctor. ION in Latin means to go. So the word question means to go on a quest. If you approach life with that zest for questioning, you won't get trapped in a matrix, which is what the kids call it. You won't be held down by limiting beliefs. And like Joe Dispenza says, you'll become supernatural. So I also love the fact that Western medical doctors are involved now. So they are giving scientific data. When people have negative thoughts, what happens to their IgA levels, which is their immune fighting hormones? They are giving very concrete data to prove evidentially, scientifically, that positive thinking, which we used to just fluff off as, that's kind of just like, what our mom used to say, positive thinking and positive vibration keeps you healthy.
We're so aligned. When I first got my own diagnosis, I remember saying to one of the radiologists, does it make a difference in people when they have a positive outlook or people that have a negative outlook? And he said, it's night and day. He sees, all of these people come through the doors, and it was almost this little bit of magic. Like, how could you have a positive outlook when you get some bad news? And it's mindset. So I love what you're doing. Tell me more about these events and what you talk about.
Yeah, before I go through the actual course, I want to mention something. You, again, are giving examples of everything I'm teaching. And
Mhm.
this is what I do for people. Even people who understand this content, they don't have the language to communicate it to others. So I either get people who don't know the content, or I get people who know it without the language. Either way, it's pretty phenomenal. But when I give language to people who don't have it but know it, or have been feeling it their whole life, like that's the biggest aha, right? So
I can't wait.
what you just described is one of the techniques I teach, which is called the better reaching thought, BRT, right? In other words, it's like a positive pivot. And people think, oh my God, I'm just making up stories. And Jerry and Esther Hick and Joe Dispenza would say, make up any story to raise your vibration. Because when you raise your vibration, you attract only good things into your life. It is completely night and day. One other thing you mentioned before, again, I want to just take all these good examples you're giving and give some other language around it. You said there are people who, again, are just getting up, going to the same job. If you remember way back, there was a motivational speaker. He was one of the first, Zig Ziglar.
Mhm.
And Zig Ziglar used to say, there are people running around all day, but never confuse activity with productivity. And then you may have heard of Stephen Covey.
Mhm.
Covey talks about habits of highly effective people. What I love about Covey is the difference between doing things right and doing the right things. So you can be busy all the day long doing things right, but if they're not the right things, then who cares? And quickly, the story he tells is a guy going to paint a house in 5 hours, but he paints it in 3, and he's excited until he realized he painted the wrong house. Now, he did it right, but it wasn't the right thing. It is so powerful. I go through my day, I teach people these tools to constantly question, are they just doing it right, or is it the right things? These are all techniques to make sure you are aligned. Another one of my favorite words. You're going to love this example. Right after you get a flat tire, why do you have to get your car aligned? You tell me, Christina, why do you have to get your car?
Because something's out of whack.
And we want the tires going in the
Right direction.
same
Straightforward.
direction. So the 4 tires are equivalent to your words, thoughts, actions, and beliefs. If one of those is out of sync, you're not going in the right direction. If you're not going in the right direction, you're not aligned. And by the way, that's step number 2, get rid of resistance. So that's how the story starts coming together. But there's something very powerful at play here that people don't talk about. You can learn everything about manifestation. Let's put that aside for 1 second. If you don't understand completely who you are not going to be able to manifest. And here's why. And I'll talk about Myers-Briggs, but in any language, if you don't understand you as a person and you don't know other skills, then as life knocks you out of your comfort zone, it's going to throw you out of alignment. So if you understand who you are and you develop the skills of who you're not, it is less likely you'll be thrown out. So manifestation, vibration, and business skills are so tied together that people don't see it. And that's what I make really clear.
I love, love, love that. And you know, you're right. I mean, I've been doing this just because I got introduced to it and I went all the way in, but I don't know what you call it. I don't know how it is. And I don't know how to get to the next step.
I know,
So-
once you come to the seminar, you're going to be
I'm coming.
You're going to be sitting there the whole day like, yeah, this is how I feel. I call it the Flory translator. Let me give you an example. So we call, well, Jerry and Esther Hicks call, I just borrowed it. When you are tuned in, turned on, tapped in, we call it the vortex, this cyclonic energy where all good happens. And that you can tell if you're in your vortex or not by your vibration and by your emotion. So if you're in a lower energy, like jealousy or disappointment or rage or anger or depression, you're out of the vortex. And if you're in joy and happiness, you're in the upper. And then there's a whole bunch of in between. But let me give you an example. You fill in the blank to this very common saying. Misery loves
Company.
So now let me put that through my translator with the example I just mentioned. Misery loves company means I am so out of my vortex and I have no idea how to get in. And you seem very happy and in your vortex. So the best I can do is drag you the heck out of yours so I can keep my victim status and my world together and make you feel bad about you while I stay feeling good about myself.
I'm gonna interject that we're on the same train, only you have the official side of it and I've just been living it. I had a period of time in my life, I had some like career transition. Someone introduced me to Esther and Jerry Hicks. I devoured that book. I lived in it. I changed my life. I changed the way I think. I adopted all of these kind of strategies and ways of thinking. And it was my introduction to my real power. And it was not only life-changing, but I discovered something super powerful, was that I had the ability when I had this new power or gift that if somebody came along with this negative, miserable energy, I could physically feel it. I could feel it inside me. I met a woman not so long ago who was related to my husband. And I said to him, I can't stay here. She's sucking the life out of me. And I excused myself. So that's when I really knew that I was on the right track, or I was, aligned with who I was, because I could physically feel it and I wouldn't allow it anymore. And I never apologized for that.
Well, it's funny.
So powerful.
And I know you through Colleen, and I know what you've been through recently, and you are living all of this. That's why when I give you some of this and you get armed with the vernacular, you're going to be even more powerful. But two things you just said, you're going to be using this, and feel free to use anything I say.
I will.
What you just described is a superpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you put a cape on, and it was like, Superman who could see through things and hear things. So we become, like Joe Dispenza says, right? Supernatural. But listen to this. I've been using the word capability my entire life because I've been in systems and I've been in interviewing and everything, right? What's your capability? Separate that word. What is your capability, right? In other words, what is your superpower? What cape are you wearing? And when you get all of this information, you become so clear. So people talk to me about manifestation. I said, listen, it is a miracle when you think of something into reality. It is a miracle. To me, Amazon Prime is a miracle, right?
Yeah.
It is a miracle. But literally, when do miracles happen in your life? When you are clear. Now, let me just tie a few things already that I've talked about. When all four tires are going in the right direction, your thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs, because you have questioning your beliefs and you never get stuck in a matrix and you get rid of resistance, then everything you think of finds you. It chases you down and it hunts you. But listen, it's all about clarity, clear and focus. I have never been more clear in my life. And that is why the company is doing what it's supposed to. I am serving my purpose. But when you rearrange the word miracle, letter for letter, you get I am clear.
Wow.
And it shows itself to me in words so clearly that another one that came to me is another way you just mentioned. Again, I'm going to give you some words around what you just said. I can choose who I hang out with. I can choose what I major in college. I can choose the words I use. Because when you make deliberate choices, you get freedom. And by the way, in the word deliberate is the word liberate, deliberate. So deliberate choices are liberating. Wow.
I just can't wait. I
I told you you have to come.
to this. It's so funny. It's almost like, I'm on the back car of the train and you're in the front car and I should just follow you around. When we realize how strong and powerful we are and that there's nothing that we can't do. One of the things that I feel sometimes I encounter people that have trouble with is they feel a little bit guilty for having this greatness or this favor or having manifested their desire. And how does that play into, what you talk about and what you train on?
Yeah, so guilt is one of the lower emotions, and guilt is a resistance, and guilt is a barrier, and guilt is our ego. So you just use any of the techniques. So let me tell you a few of the techniques. Let me tell you a little bit about the course.
Tell me.
We've been dancing around it, but I'm just going to put it together now, as is the poster behind me, a puzzle. So you can see the name of the first course is The Missing Piece.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's a play on words because our life has 5 pieces. There's nothing in your life that doesn't fit into one of those 5 pieces. But if one of those pieces is a little bit off, it doesn't mean it really is missing. It's just a little bit less than, then the whole puzzle is off, right? So you can see behind me, the acronym PEACE is physical, emotional, aspirational, cerebral, and ethereal. Physical is your body. Emotional is your relationships, aspirational is your goals, cerebral is your work, school, intellect, and ethereal is your spirit. It is impossible to talk about something not going well in your life without talking about multiple pieces. And if you try to restrict it to one, then it's not a holistic approach to happiness. So let me give you an example. Someone breaks their leg, like this young man I was telling you about before, right? Somebody breaks their leg. That's a physical. Does it affect your relationships? Let's say you're a young man living at home and your parents now have to take care of you. Does it affect your goals? In this man's case, they had to quit football. So maybe it adjusted those goals. Does it affect cerebral, school? Yes. What about your spirit and your vibration? If you let it, it could cause you to be depressed. I could start with any pain in any one of the pieces and end up in every one of the pieces. You lose a bid at work, a project, a job, you get fired, you decide to leave. That's a goal that's hurting or in pain. Does that affect everything else? Yes. Let me give you some now ideas about the curriculum, but let me give you some real world application I hear all the time. Flory, I am not going to look for a relationship until I lose 40 pounds. If I put that through the translator, I am not going to complete my emotional piece of my puzzle until I adjust my physical piece of the puzzle. With me so far?
Mhm.
And then I say to them and blow their mind, get ready. What if you found an amazing relationship that made life so amazing and wonderful that the weight just fell off with no effort? They're like, wait, what? Because when we think we know where the answer or happiness is coming from, that's where we go astray. Now, I've been teaching goal setting my entire life. So I'm all about the push. What I have added in the last 20 years is when to stop pushing and when to start pulling. So it doesn't mean you sit in your room and pray for a Porsche. It means you do everything you need to do, and then you sit back and let the universe deliver it to you in the way that's best for your higher good. So let me tell you about the curriculum. It really is a combination of my entire 40 years. What didn't come up already is that I'm also a trained nutritionist and holistic health counselor. I had my children in my 40s, so I was having difficulty. So I went and became a nutritionist and holistic health counselor 2 years in the city. So I give the best of the best in this content. Each of the courses, by the way, there are 3, the missing piece, the centerpiece, and the masterpiece. And in each of the courses, we dive deeper. But listen, every one of these pieces is a college course, if not more.
Mhm.
I always say to people, the reason you go to a seminar is because you don't want to read 1,000 books and experience every modality and go. You want someone to do it for you and package it. I am very good at packaging content to make it very clear. So we go through each of these, and in each of these, you get a tool. I'm all about tools. You're going to love this. It is not enough to know, you have to know how. I can be motivated and excited, but I can't go back and use a tool to change my life. Then it was an uplifting seminar, but that's it. In my seminars, because of my training as a scientist and mathematician, I make sure that people leave with tools. So the way I teach, it's called the art of teaching, ART. I assess the group, I give you the research, AR, and then I give you a tool. So in each of the categories, you get assessed, you get research, and you get a tool. It's a beautiful thing. Let me give you though, we good so far?
We're so good.
So let me give you
Now I'm upset that I'm not there tomorrow, but keep going.
So many of you have heard of the Myers-Briggs, but even if you haven't, there's a myriad of preference or personality instruments. And it's simply to give us language so that we can communicate with people. Because if we don't have the right language, then we use off-putting language. And then the tool becomes a weapon, right? I take a hammer, I hammer in a nail, tool. I take a hammer, hit somebody over the head, weapon. So I use a tool called the Myers-Briggs, but there's many out there. I've been using this for 40 years. I'm twice certified. I like it the most because it's not about behavior, it's about preference. So let me give you an example. Christina, on the first dimension of Myers-Briggs, you can be either extroverted or introverted. That doesn't mean do you like parties. It means where you get your energy from. Extroverts get their energy outside themselves, and introverts get their energy internally. Now, I owned a training consulting company for 40 years. I had equally exceptional presenters who were introverts and extroverts. The difference is at the end of a day with people, introverts charge up by themselves. Extroverts get energy from people. So an extrovert can walk into a party at 8 o'clock exhausted. And they could say, I'm leaving in an hour, I'm leaving in an hour. And then 2 a.m, they're pole dancing, right?
Right.
So Christina, tell the audience which you think or know you are. Are you an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm an extrovert.
You're an extrovert. So now let me connect these last 2 pieces of the puzzle very quickly. We're saying that ethereal is how you feel. Are you in a high state or a low state? And that how you feel dictates your life, which means the only thing you should ever care about is how you feel. You can make deliberate choices and some things you can control. But listen to this. If Christina is an extrovert and I tell Christina for the next 10 years, she's going to work at a very quiet library as a librarian. That is no matter how many techniques you have, it is going to knock you out of your zone. However, if you did have some introverted skills and techniques, it would knock you out less. So the connection here is knowing who you are, practicing who you're not, so that you're not caught off guard when you have to use those skills, because otherwise it'll knock you out of your vibration. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in Myers-Briggs, there's more than one category. There's 4 categories, and we go through each and every one of them. And then we talk about how to identify yourself, how to communicate with others, and how to make sure you're staying in your zone, knowing who you are.
Knowing oneself is so important. It's probably the most important thing, that you know how you tick and you know what makes you happy and that you can choose that. So whatever language that is and whatever words those are, that's what I know works for me.
There's a recent study, well, it's the longest study in human history. Recently, they published the results. It's called The Good Life, 70-year study, Harvard Business School. And the goal of the study is what's the #1 predictor of human happiness? And the results were just published about 6 months ago after 70 years of interviews, biometrics, every kind of analysis you can imagine. The Good Life, Harvard Business School. And hands down, the #1 predictor was the quality, not the quantity, the quality of your relationships. Everyone wants human connection, but all of the pieces behind me tie in to relationships of some sort. So none of this happens by default. It all happens by design, but it can be your mindset that is the design. It doesn't have to be the external things that are around you. Something else that makes me very unique, or makes my programs very unique, is in between the content, we do an hour on each piece. In between the pieces, we do mindfulness techniques so that you can take home techniques to get grounded and mindful. Now, when people hear mindfulness, they think, oh, meditation, and they have such a negative connotation. Well, first of all, I have some very talented meditation guides that join me for the day. They do only 3 to 5 minute meditations so that you can take back very portable meditations. But what people don't realize is there are so many modalities that might work for them to get grounded. I wrote down a few because I forgot all that I have done, but there are things called integrative manual therapy, IMT, theta healing, there's hypnosis, there's tarot cards, there's sound bowl healing, there's meditation, there's a new practice that I'm learning called MELT. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, the MELT method.
I haven't. What is it?
Yeah, it stands for myoelectrolysis, and it's an entire acronym, which I'll check in a minute. But I have somebody coming to the seminar next weekend who is going to demo that. I am constantly learning and experiencing these. So when you come, you get to hear all these modalities so that when you go back, you can be better in business, you can be better in your family, you can be happier, and you can have these techniques. Let me tell you something. I raised my 3 children. I have 3 children, one that just graduated college and 2 graduating high school. Raising children with these techniques is life changing. I can see it show up in their everyday life. I can see it in their attitude. I can see it in their remarks. It is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable gift to give young people.
That it is, and we have to just know that it exists. And so many of us don't know. Like I said, I wish I was introduced to it at a very, very younger age. It was a different time, and that was considered woo-woo, like those people. I remember being a kid, and there was a fitness guru named Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
And Jack LaLanne used to eat healthy, and he used to exercise, and people were like, let me just sit here and smoke my cigarettes. He's crazy. And it was based on science. It was based on what the body needs, what the mind needs, all of those things. So we're now taking the time to get introduced to the things that are there to make us better, make us happy, make us just whole. I love that.
You mentioned health. So one of the things I find most profound, especially for women, it sounds sexist, but women care about what they eat a little bit more than men. And I'm not sure if it came up, but I lost 70 pounds when I was younger. And that sent me on a trajectory of health and wellness. But let me tell you something. Let me connect a few of these pieces again. I'm going to connect ethereal and physical. Everyone thinks it's what you eat. It is not. It is how you feel about what you eat. Everything is about how you feel. Everything. Just check in with your emotions. I do it all day long. Am I in the top? Joy, happiness? Am I in the middle? Contentment? Or am I in the bottom? Disappointment, depression? And wherever I am, instead of trying to get something done in that lower state, I tell people move up and then move on. And in my course, I give 15 techniques on how to move up. I can give you 1 or 2 and give you some examples. But back to the food for a minute. Let me give you very concrete science. You go out to dinner and you eat 2 pieces of cheesecake. And you are now beating yourself up for that. I shouldn't have, I couldn't, I wish I had it. And you start thinking negative thoughts. Negative thoughts release cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that stores fat. You are not getting fat from the cheesecake. I mean, you can't eat cheesecake every day, every month, but you get what I'm saying. If you just change how you feel about what you eat, it is a game changer. So they say, why does one person eat the exact same thing? Oh, it must be their metabolism. Well, it could be part of it, but most of it is how they think. Many men, after they eat, do they even remember what they had?
No.
Right. That's why they don't get fat or heavy or whatever word you want to use from the food. We think about it for days, for weeks. Oh my God, last month, remember when I had the whole sleeve of Oreo cookies? So negative thoughts release cortisol and you store fat. If you could change that thought process around, it is mind-blowing. When I was younger, I would never go to someone's house if they had lasagna, for example. I would not eat it. And I would be like, and now I think, how rude was that? I will eat anything anyone makes for me. I forget about it. I bless and release. I don't eat overeat, but I'm in very good physical health right now. I eat everything that I want. I drink what I want. I love my glass of wine. It is how you feel. Now go to each of these. It's how you feel, your relationship. Somebody could say something to you, your partner, you can interpret it 3 different ways. It's how you feel. And let me give you one other mind-blowing thing, even though I'm giving away all these secrets. Someone can ask you the exact same thing on a Monday and a Wednesday, and you have a completely different reaction. It has nothing to do with the person or the question. It has everything to do with your proximity to your vortex and happiness. So if on Monday you are in joy and happiness, then the answer was sure. You could have 20 kids over and have pizza. And on Wednesday, if you are in anger and depression, it's like, are you friggin' kidding me? Those kids are not coming over. It is your proximity to your happiness. That's it, period, the end.
Flory, you are just blowing my mind.
I know.
I think that, and I can only refer to my own self because I'm the only one who, I'm the only one that knows me. And I know that I was so fortunate to haps upon this concept. And I know that it's changed my life and I know that I need more. And the fact that you have the science behind it and you know all of this and you're guiding people to this happy, wonderful place makes me so happy. So I think it's amazing. How can people find you to find out what you do?
Yeah, we're on all social, and my kids are paying attention now because I think I got 22,000 views on Instagram, so that means something.
Wow.
But I'm still old fashioned in, look at my posters. I love my posters. I love social, but I'm an organic builder of companies. So I started the company 1 year ago, this company specifically, Awakened Events. And so far we've had 20 seminars, 300 people have come through. I just started offering level 2 and 3. There's workbooks for each one. So you can see this is the missing piece.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 dividers. It's very clear, very clear. This is centerpiece. The outlines are very clear. What I love, I'm going to give you another little tidbit. You can see the outlines kind of look alike, but they're not. So I talk a lot about in course number 2, the 6 basic human needs that people have. Because once you understand your needs, that's another way to understand who you are. So we use Myers-Briggs, and in level 2, we use these needs. But let me just give you 2 needs that'll just confuse you until you get them.
Okay.
We have needs for certainty and uncertainty. And we have needs for connection and significance. Both of those are competing. Give you an example. Certainty and uncertainty. I want to know everything exactly how it's going to happen so I'm not disappointed because I'm going to try to stay in my vortex. Oh, but then I get bored and then that knocks me out. Oh, wait a minute. So I can't just have everything certain. Oh, I need uncertainty. Good. Now I got some uncertainty and I'm back in my zone. Oh, now I got too much uncertainty. And now I'm nervous and now I get knocked out. You with me?
Yes.
So the trick is the right amount of certainty and uncertainty. Okay? Now, the next one, love and connection. Let's call it connection and significance. Connection. I want to know everybody and be part of a group and have a community. Oh, and I feel good. Now I'm in my zone. Now I'm in my high vibration. Oh, but now I'm not special. I don't stand out. Oh, now I'm knocked out. Okay. The other need is significance. Significance is I'm at the top of the mountain. I'm the best. I'm the owner. I'm the president. Oh, I'm in my vortex. And then you look around. Oh, no, I'm alone. Oh, now I'm knocked out. So you need the balance of love and connection and significance. I'm giving people language to do little inventories, for example. Am I having too much certainty, too much uncertainty? Oh, that's why I'm knocked out. Am I having all connection and no significance? Listen, I used to work with a lot of CEOs, Christina. What did they focus more on, connection or significance, do you think?
Significance.
Right. And what did they find when they were 50 years old and not married with no children and only their companies? Oh my
Was it
God.
worth it?
Right. But what about people who just take care of the connection aspect of community, but they don't grow and develop and build something? They're not happy either. So I'm giving people language, but let me tell you something. I feel you resonating with me so much through this Zoom. I feel I just feel us so parallel. It's giving me chills. But wait, ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So when I design the courses, people want certainty and uncertainty. I know that now, which means I have to teach and develop content that fits everyone's needs. So my seminars fill all 6 needs, which is why they're doing so well. Example, you can be certain that if you come to Flory's house, it is going to look a certain way, but you could also be certain that the curriculum is going to look very similar. The outlines are going to be similar. Breaks will happen at the same time. There'll always be a guest speaker. Certain, uncertain, new activities, new content, new guest speaker, but same format. Next to connection, you're going to meet 15 other like-minded people. The community is amazing. Significance, you're one of the few people taking time out of your life to even be here. And then there's two other needs, growth and contribution, which we probably don't have time for, but my seminar fulfills those needs as well. So not only am I teaching certain things, I am practicing what I'm teaching and preaching. And that's why it's so inherently successful, is I am building into my curriculum what I know people need because I have been studying it for 40 years. Isn't that lovely?
It is so, just so amazing. So it's so cool that you can be free by just figuring this stuff out, that you can live the life of your dreams if you just stop to think about it and learn.
I talk a lot about in cerebral, in the intellect segment, about emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is being aware of who you are and regulating. In my opening, you said my tagline is you bring who you are to everything you do.
Mhm.
And that's exactly true. And guess what? Not every situation wants you the way you were born. Not every situation demands you to be that same person. So if you are emotionally intelligent, you're aware of who you are, then you can regulate. Now look at the connection. If you cannot regulate, you're not going to get the outcome you want. If you're not going to get the outcome you want, you're going to build resistance. If you build resistance, you're knocked out of your zone.
And
So staying in a high vibration is not happenstance. It is not some people are born lucky and happy. No, they have taken a deliberate approach to creating miracles by being clear and aligned in their thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs to remove resistance so they can manifest everything and anything they want. And by being aware of who they are in this world and how to adjust and regulate who they are to get the outcome, desire, happiness they want.
I can't even say more than wow. You have blown my mind, and I can't wait to come, and you'll have to send me dates. We're going to share a bunch of stuff. We're going to share how people can connect with you, and I certainly hope that they do, because Flory, you are so unique. You are so special. That's why your name is so unique. Who else do you know that's Flory? Because
Well,
you're Flory.
Can I add two more quick things?
Yes.
So on social, just because I didn't mention it, it's Awakened Events. My website is a-waken-events.com.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's the same thing, but with underscores. But you said about my name, so now I have to mention another new fun thing I'm doing. I'm doing stand-up comedy.
Come on.
So I'm taking a 6-week comedy course, and on June 12th, I'm going stand-up live at the Ridgefield Theater in Connecticut. But here's why I mention it. Because, well, two reasons. Comedy is yet another tool. And I'm pretty funny in my seminars to begin with, because I've been teaching for 40 years. You accumulate a lot of fun stories, and it's entertainment. I'm very good at teaching and entertaining, education, entertainment. However, now getting some formal comedy skills has really been a lot of fun. But one of my routines in my comedy is about what parents name their kids. So when you said my name was important, I tell people, and in the routine, it's quite funny, but when you give a child a name, because names have vibration, right? So every time you say that name, you get a vibration. And every time you walk by a picture in your house, you get a vibration. And I say to people, do you put pictures in your house of people you don't like?
No.
And they laugh, but think about why. When you pass it, it raises your vibration when you see a picture of your kid. You don't put a picture of Aunt Molly who has annoyed you for 50 years. So same thing with naming. You don't name your kid after someone you don't like. However, some of the celebrities have named their kids some really good content comedy names, and you'll have to come to the show to see it. But the analogy I give is it's like branding someone, right? It's like a hot iron brand when you name someone, because that
name.
They're going to hear that over and over and over again. And no joke, it really is about the vibration. So what I really want people to know, and by the way, I know you coach realtors. I've been working with real estate agents more than any group lately. And I'm like, how did I find them? Or how did they find me? It's because realtors, real estate agents, do not make any money if they don't know how to build relationships. It is all about relationships. You are not going to drive around 4 Sundays in a row with someone who is not vibrating where you are and not understanding every technique I have just talked about. So I've been working with my dear friend, Alan Stewart at Yellow Brick Realty, and we've been collaborating on seminars. And when I met Alan, he had a course for communications, but it was broad. So we broke it down together. So communication is very big. We broke it down into the art of conversation, connection, and collaboration. But underneath all of it are these techniques. So what I really want people to know is that this is in their power. This is another one that I show all my college kids.
Yes.
It is not one thing. Mindset is everything. And how you feel is the only thing you should ever care about. And if you can control it, great. But if you can't control who you're around sometimes or the situation, then you want the techniques. I didn't get to talk about all the techniques. You have to come to the course.
We're gonna have to do this again because our time is up. We're gonna have to go, and I want to have you back after I go to your event so we can talk about what I learned and what my experience was like.
Okay, absolute last thing I'm going to say. I live on a lake, so it is spectacular. But every morning when I wake up on the second floor and I look out the window, I see my boat on a boat lift. And the waves are bouncing around it, but the boat doesn't move. Before I got the lift, the boat was moving in the water. And every morning when I look out the window in the summer, when the boat's in the water, I say, today, I want to be like the boat on the lift. I do not want my happiness to depend on anyone else. And that's what I want people to know. Be the boat on the lift.
Be the boat on the lift. Flory, I can't thank you enough. I wish I had a whole day to kind of pick your brain, but I'm going to do it. So I will see you. I'm so grateful to you. We're going to do this again. Flory, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us at the panel.
Thank you. And please find me, because you will find me if you're supposed to.
Yes. Well, I will. I found you. Now I'm really going to find you.
Okay.
Flory, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.